It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
And a fine Saturday morning to you, gents.
Oh,
first time I ever heard it. I love it.
Top of. I know you guys don't ever get to hear it live.
It's great.
I have once. This is my second time hearing it live.
That is true. How are things going? What's new with you guys?
Still quarantined. Waha!
Yes.
Yeah, you're still doing this quarantine thing? I've reopened my kissing booth and it's going great. I played in my first virtual poker tournament with friends last night.
That's cool.
And I've been actually playing like with strangers and stuff on pokerstars.net to get better. And it turns out I'm still very bad at poker.
Well, is there some sort of are you able to do it with real money when you're with friends? No, still no.
You switch, you play with fake chips and then we agree on a buy-in or something like that and it pays out with some sort of algorithm.
Oh, okay.
Oh, interesting.
Figure it out later.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because with PokerStars it's still fake stuff, right?
Correct.
Full
That's
Tilt.
cool.
When Full Tilt went under, I think they took like 10 of my dollars with them.
Oh no, the whole 10 of your dollars?
Yeah. Because you
all
you
that
can't
precious
do that
money.
Exactly. There were lots of people that lost a lot more than 10.
Yeah, I'm sure. Somebody made off with that money somewhere.
Oh, I think it's in some government stronghold right now.
Is it just
until the case is heard?
Yeah, fun times. So what's new in the world of movies? Anything exciting? Have you guys watched anything fun, exciting, interesting?
I watched Parasite this week for the first time. I didn't love it. We talked about this a little bit before we recorded the film board last week. Unfortunately, it's as wonderful a movie as it is. It's just really not a good movie for me because it's about fraudsters trying not to get caught, in fraud and things like this. And those aren't movies. Like the drama and suspense that surrounds that is not like interesting to me. It's only drama and suspense for that sake. So I didn't love it as much as everybody. I understand that it's beautiful. I would have rather have seen it in the theater, but like I liked Snowpiercer significantly greater than Parasite in my mind.
So then let me ask you, do you feel the same about Dirty Rotten Scoundrels?
Why do you say that?
Because it's about fraudsters.
Oh, but it's more of a comedy. Like I know, can laugh but
I'm just
at
checking.
Steve Martin.
I'm just trying to gauge where's that line.
Yeah, it's the drama and suspense that I have a problem with, not the silly stuff.
So as long as it's goofy fraudsters, it's A-okay.
Right, because we're making fun of it. It's not real. It's just legend.
That's interesting because I thought Parasite was hysterical. What
Funniest
a romp.
movie. Why didn't the Golden Globes put it up for Best Comedy?
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Funny.
They always get it wrong.
Yeah, they do.
I tell you. Tommy, what about you? What have you been watching?
I watched a movie that was supposed to come out in the theaters that was released on VOD called Vivarium. It has Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots in it, and it is I guess you would probably call it a horror thriller, but it's mainly it's kind of a long metaphor for maybe the trap that familyhood in suburbia can be. This couple is shown a house that maybe they want to buy. It's in one of those
it's like an Edward Scissorhands neighborhood, right? Like
exactly. All the houses look exactly the same and stuff. And while they're being shown the house, the person that's showing to them disappears and they cannot find their way out of the neighborhood.
Disappears.
And so they
just
disappear.
Vaporizes
walks out of frame and you never see him again. It's satirical. It's very eerie. It's very funny at times. It's very, very bleak by the end of it. But the whole thing it can be taken as sort of a condemnation as you get married young and you think you're supposed to go into this plan of getting a house and then having a kid, having a pet, all this stuff. And that maybe that can be seen as a trap that you're caught in a maze.
Yeah, because at some point they end up they're all of a sudden like, where did this kid come from? Right? Don't they? Isn't that something I remember from the trailer?
The kid is delivered in a box out, almost like Amazon outside of their new house, which they didn't even really decide on. They're like, okay, here's your kid because this is what comes next.
Oh, I like
it's pretty
that,
cool.
Though. That almost it's pretty cool. It's not as deep as Mother, obviously, but it has the same sort of like. Correct. Here you're presented with. That's cool. I kind of like that.
Huh. I really dug it.
Nice.
I thought it was really nice.
And it's Valerium.
I'm sorry, vivarium. It's a vivarium, which is a fancy word pretty much for living in a zoo.
Oh,
really?
A vivarium is living in some sort of a container where you are watched.
A container
all the time.
for living. Yeah, I guess
for living in observation. Correct.
Well, that's like I guess you would say the same thing is in. I said that and now I'm blanking on the book. What's the book? The one where it's all over the place with the guy. He's a soldier in war. Then he ends up on an alien planet and they're observing him.
Slaughterhouse?
Yeah, Slaughterhouse, right. Slaughterhouse 5.
Yeah, Slaughterhouse 5. Yes,
that's totally.
correct.
So I would say that's a vivarium.
Yes,
in
correct.
a weird way, yeah.
It really does. Vivarium does have a Twilight Zone feel to it, very much.
Well, I like that.
It's kind of like
I remember the trailer, and I remember I remember thinking that it had like that Black Mirror Twilight Zone sort of vibe, where there's something kind of peculiar going on. But I've kind of forgot that it came out. So
it just came out kind of quietly, but I really dug it. It is unpleasant. but it is very fun. Yeah.
All right.
That's fantastic.
Sounds like it's on the edge of something that I might like. Like there's enough weird line in the middle that I might still enjoy it.
Sounds like a good trailer rewind sort of movie.
Yeah,
really.
Definitely.
It sounds totally like up you guys' alley. I
agree.
love that. I love the concept of that one. So that's really interesting. I've been playing catch up, trying to get ready for our upcoming series where we're looking at best picture nominees that were the foreign films.
Oh, cool.
We're doing. We've done one in the past, and now we're doing the other 10, which should be really interesting to look at. But part of my personal homework assignment is to watch all the films that they were nominated against, just so I can compare.
Wow!
Did that work or not, and what was the right one to win? So I've been watching a lot of Best Picture nominees and a lot of Best Foreign Language Film nominees. Some really interesting movies, and sometimes it's really interesting to see, like through the years, especially the ones that when you go back into the 70s and earlier, it's like, wow, boy, there are just some odd films that are getting released that people thought were really important at the time.
Sure.
Like what?
So,
anything in particular that hit you off the wall?
There was I'm blanking on the name of it. It was what was it? A something woman. It was from the 70s. It came out, and it was very much a women's lib sort of movie. Like her husband wanted a divorce, and she didn't know what to do with her life, and then she's trying to figure it out, and she finds all sorts of freedom and stuff. And I'm like, this feels very of its time. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much it works nowadays because a lot hasn't changed, but a lot has changed in that context. And so watching the film, I'm like, I don't think that this really is that exciting of a movie anymore. It's probably not something I'd ever want to watch again, but it's interesting. I find it interesting to see which films are successes. Like last night I watched Sounder, which I hadn't seen before, which was a fantastic film. Martin Ritt directed it. From 1972, and it's kind of a quiet story, but it's an African-American family in the just following the Great Depression in the 1930s, and just trying to make their lives work, especially once dad commits a crime and has to go to jail, and now it's the family trying to figure out what to do. But I'm like, it's a great story still. It doesn't feel dated. It still feels it's an effective story. It's a great one to watch with the kids just to kind of look at this other life. So, there's still like these great gems back there that people just don't talk about. So it's really an interesting project.
Yeah, that's the best when they hold up like that.
So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see how everything shakes out by the time we get to watching all the movies and talking about them on the show.
That sounds like a great segment. Not segment,
Series.
but long segment. Series, that's the word. Look, S words. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what's going on in movie news? Any interesting movie news out there?
I have a big one that probably this just came out a couple days ago, but the Oscars have officially been delayed to April 2021.
How is that
going to? It usually would have been.
How is that going to work? If they put it to April, then doesn't everything just get offset going forward?
Well, it says feature films must now fall within January 1st, 2020 and February 28th, 2021, I assume. It just says 20.
Right, yeah.
Wait,
Right.
This article is not written terribly well, but yes, I assume it means that, like a month, a year and a month.
It just doesn't. I feel like, number one, I feel like they're going to have to compress everything. I mean, the longer we go, they're going to keep having to compress everything. And there's no sign of the quarantine ending right now, even though we have these phased reopenings and stuff. I just, I don't know. I feel like, I almost feel like it would be better for them to just skip the year than to push it to April and put everything that's because I mean, honestly, like what's going to get a fair release from January of this year until then?
Or do what we're doing with kids and just everyone wins Best Picture. Like everyone graduates.
You all get an award.
Yeah. Everyone graduates. Everyone gets a thing.
Right.
Oh, does that mean
it's interesting you say that. I'm scrolling down this article that I was reading it in and it's not going to work. They say that at the end. They say, this isn't going to work. Signed to the Oscars. No, I'm just saying, I think you're right. No one knows if this is going to happen or not. I think we're just still in that place. The Oscars is now just sort of like your friend's wedding.
Yeah.
Like it was supposed to be this summer, and now they're just sort of like, they're going to move it to October and then to April and then to something. Right. Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. And because, I mean, I know there was also just Oscar news that happened about them changing some of the rules. Like now it is 10
to
films.
The 10.
Right. It's absolutely always 10 films moving forward until they change it again.
But didn't they I'm sorry to interrupt, Andy, but didn't they sort of underline that with, because we're hoping for more diversity?
Well, and that's the thing. Like we're all waiting to hear what is it that they are changing, because they're still talking about the changes coming, right? We don't know what all of the new changes that they're discussing are, but I know the governing board right now is trying to figure out what are these changes that are going to happen, because they're pushing for more diversity. And I get it to a certain extent. Because it's like, okay, if a script, I mean, we've all looked at scripts before. For a lot of the characters in a script, it just kind of gives a vague idea as to who the person is. It doesn't necessarily specify their race. So I think that's what they're pushing for is there are a lot of roles in a script that aren't specified. Let's shake it up a little bit. Why do so many of them need to be, just white people put into those roles?
And the film board just reviewed Da 5 Bloods, which was originally written for 5 white people.
Yeah, right. Which is
it wasn't Da 5 Bloods then,
which I didn't know until I listened to that show. I'm like, that's really interesting, because I think it made for a much more interesting film than it would have been if it was just 5 white guys going to get some gold. Right.
Right. No, I
Three Kings already did that and did it really well.
Right.
But we don't need another sort of thing. So
I think that's really interesting, and I can't. I mean, but I still don't understand how the concept of making it a regulation that there's 10 movies makes it any better for diversity than if they have the ability to make it 10 movies. Like when it comes down to it, the people who are choosing the movies have got to do a better job of opening their minds to diversity to make it happen. Just like mandating that, okay, now we must have 10 doesn't make it natural. That isn't something that naturally makes things more diverse. Like people have to do the work.
Yeah. No, because we already did make it. The reason that they originally enlarged it was trying to get ratings.
Yeah.
Right. Oscars ratings have been so terrible that they were like, we don't have enough room for movies like The Dark Knight,
which is what
Rises.
Brought that about.
Which is what brought all of that.
It was The Dark Knight, not Rises.
Just The Dark Knight. Yeah. Oh, The Dark Knight plane.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight classic.
The Dark Knight
is what that's called.
The Dark Knight by himself.
There's not enough room for popular movies because we have to nominate all of the pianists, and then there's no room for Black Panther.
Well, I personally think that's false logic too, because just because a popular movie gets nominated doesn't get eyeballs to the TV show.
I mean, honestly,
they don't know what else to do.
I think the idea was interesting about the allowing it between 5 and 10. Like, I thought that was pretty interesting because it allowed for, okay, if a film gets enough votes, then it counts. So obviously, like, I mean, we've never hit 10 since they came up with that rule. It's always been kind of in that 7 to 9, 7 to 8 range, I think. Really.
7 to 8, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, but those were the films getting nominated. So honestly, I think if they're going to push to always allowing for 10, which, I mean, I don't really care because I'm always excited to just watch more movies. So, hey, why not? But if they're force setting it, I would love to have them say, and I know they won't, but what were the films that didn't get nominated? Like, we're just below that line in the last few years since they implemented that rule. So people could go, oh, wow, okay, so this would have been a nominee if this had been in place, if it was an actual 10 movies. And that might be something that allows people to say, okay, well, maybe it is worth. If that's the sort of film that gets nominated. That's a great idea. Yeah. But they never will.
If this rule had been in before, look at this wealth of, that's a great idea. That's smart.
Wouldn't that be interesting to see what other films would have been up for Best Picture?
Yes.
Yeah. But I know they're super secretive about all that, so what are you going to do?
Until they announce the wrong movie on Best Picture. Then they're like, we're still figuring it out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good old Green Book.
Oh, gosh. No. Oh, so terrible.
What else is going on? JJ, you had something about drive-ins.
Yeah,
what's the scoop
I've just
with
drive-ins? I'm just desperate to go back to the movies in any way that I can. And people have been talking about how drive-ins are coming back online because it gives people a chance to socially distance in their vehicles as they watch a movie. We have one out here in deep, I don't even know if you can call it suburban. It might even be rural Oregon, outside of Portland and Newburgh, that had opened for Memorial Day weekend. I don't know if it's opened for other ones yet either. But the question was, well, maybe why don't we just bring drive-ins back altogether? And there was this article that I found on foxbusiness.com, make America great again, bring back drive-ins. But they talked about why it's still really difficult to do that and why it's probably not going to happen, even though we have this resurgence in the quarantine. They talk about that. Really, you need at least 3 to 5 acres, and sometimes maybe even 15 acres to have a good drive-in that's going to make money. And then they talked about some of the technical restrictions as well. That a lot of the things that we get to have sort of toys in our new theaters. We talk about what Atmos and the big 4K 4K projectors and all this stuff. That stuff doesn't have the same. There isn't the technical capability to do that in a drive-in. So
in a parking lot.
Right, in a parking lot. So there's a lot of difficulties, and it won't, even if they did have a resurgence or start to come back in the way that if you love drive-ins, which I kind of do, it's not going to be the same as what watching a movie in a theater is today. So that was one of the things, the articles that I found here, is to talk about drive-ins, because honestly, I'm thinking about maybe going for Father's Day, maybe going for the 4th of July, whatever I can do to get me and the kids out to go see a movie is something that I miss terribly right now.
I've never seen a drive-in movie.
Never, ever?
Really? Holy cow.
Well, I don't feel like I've ever really lived in a place. Maybe I'm being the dumbest person ever, but Boulder, Colorado, we didn't have drive-ins.
You didn't, but I saw the Lion King
I lived just up the road from you. Did you see it at a drive-in, JJ?
Yeah, I saw the Lion King at a drive-in. I loved it.
Near Boulder or
no?
Where?
This was back in suburban Minneapolis, but okay. When I was a kid.
Well, Tommy, I was in Fort Collins, and I went to college in Boulder with you, but obviously, but I lived, I grew up in Fort Collins, just north, and we had a drive-in, and I would see stuff in there. You don't go there always to watch the movie, and so
you go there to watch something else. Am I right, folks?
It was a great place to go. I really enjoyed going to the drive-in. It was fun. Here in the Phoenix area, there is one drive-in that still is open and operating, and apparently it has 9 screens, which I did not realize. I'm actually looking at there's a website, driveinmovie.com. You can search in your area to see if there are drive-ins around you. And apparently it's the last operating drive-in in the state, and it has 9 screens. So, and apparently we just missed National Drive-In Movie Day, which was June 6th.
Whoa.
A few weeks back. So I wish that I would have known. I would have taken the family, but how fun is that?
Love it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check this one out and see if they still are playing stuff. It lists as open. I wonder what they're playing right now.
Cool.
I would imagine, because obviously they're not getting new releases, right? There are no new releases these days.
Well, now this one that I was talking about in Newburgh, Oregon, though, they played Onward. I know it's not a new release, but they played Onward, the Disney Pixar, on for Memorial Day, so it's not too old either.
Technically, it was a new release because that was one of the last new releases
before the quarantine, right? Yeah,
exactly.
Funny,
which is really funny. Yeah.
I know from friend of the show, Johnny Giacalone, who moved to Atlanta, Georgia, they were playing right around the time that it went to VOD. right around the time that it was just everything was starting to happen. Granted, Atlanta is its own sort of beast, but they were doing a double feature of The Hunt, which we talked about, and Bad Boys for Life. It was always a double feature of a just older movie and then one that sort of just came out.
Well, look at this. Okay, so right now, the drive-in near me with 9 screens has just as a run-through real quick, Brahms, The Boy 2, Gretel and Hansel on one screen, Fantasy Island and Zombieland Double Tap on another, The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, Minions and Trolls World Tour, Braveheart and Gladiator, that's exciting, Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban and Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, The Hunt and the Invisible Man, another pairing of recent, like last movies.
Oh, that's what it was. It was The Hunt and the Invisible Man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the
and then Jumanji: The Next Level and Bad Boys
it.
for Life. Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah.
And so that's a mix of older nostalgia movies, older in quotes, and then movies that are out on Redbox.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think they're just playing red boxes? Like, do you need reel to reel for a thing, or could you just like project a DVD player?
I mean, who isn't doing that? Because I mean, I go to some of these like Fathom event type of screenings, and I feel like they're just playing it off of a recording, off of a disc. So I'm not right. I mean, what movie isn't getting that played that way anyway? So Well, it's interesting. Amazing. I actually might go. It'd be fun to take the kids to see something. Of course,
what city is it in Arizona?
Kids, it's like it's in Glendale, so it's not too far from me. So we'll have to see. I'll have to keep an eye on this now, and I think it might be fun to go and experience it again. I haven't done it since high school, so it'd be an interesting and fun experience.
I had one that I'm excited about. It's a book that I read a little while ago by Adrian McKinty. It's called The Chain. It's got kind of a classic thriller, grab you by the pants. No, I'm just making up phrases. It grabs you by the pants. That's the blurb. Basically, it's about this woman, this mom, who learns that her 11-year-old daughter has been kidnapped, and the only way to get her back is to kidnap another child.
What?
That the chain is that there is this mysterious not otherworldly. There's mysterious jerks who have realized that they can go family by family and have a continuation of kidnappings, and then they get paid the ransom money.
Weird.
And it goes and it goes and it goes because a parent will do anything that it takes to save their child. So really, and the only thing that the children will only be hurt if the people don't kidnap the next child, or if they try to go to the police. It's pretty gripping. It's also kind of dumb, but it's mostly pretty gripping. What I really like about this is Baby Driver Helmer, Edgar Wright, is going to be directing it.
That sounds fun.
And Jane Goldman, who wrote Kingsman: The Golden Circle, is one of her last movies, is writing the script. So that's a great team up. And the movie does have the book does have the whole thing is about walls closing in. The whole thing is about desperation, which can be tough, but in Edgar Wright's hand, I think could be kind of enjoyable and fun and just sort of like this adrenaline trip. And so I'm really excited about that. It's been around since last July, and it's gone through a little bit of a bumpy road, but apparently this packaging is all set up, so it's exciting.
Cool.
Wow, interesting. I wonder when they'll finally get to shoot it. I know productions have been starting already, so maybe they'll be able to start it sooner than later. It sounds different for Edgar Wright, though.
Definitely.
It does, yeah. It sounds like more of him sort of, but it's a very nimble and mischievous kind of, for a thriller. Mm-hmm. It's not sort of like angry and dark and a little bit ponderous like Gone Girl. There's something you can see what would maybe, if he wanted to make one of these movies, one of these huge bestseller, I'm gonna not cash in, but just like I'm gonna put my brand out there for this. It's gonna make sense for him.
So it's kind of like if Ransom was a musical?
It's kind of like if Ransom was a musical. Hey, wait a minute. What? You just took that right out of my mouth. That's amazing.
Awesome. Wow. It sounds cool. I look forward to watching it whenever that actually happens. Well, guys, should we move on? Play a little bit of, I think we were going to try playing the IMDb game.
Yeah.
You want to give that a whirl?
Let's do it.
Oh, we do that next before trailers? I love it.
Or should
this
we
is exciting.
Yeah, we're shaking things up, Tommy.
I have no idea.
Yeah, we'll do trailers later.
Okay.
Trailer schmailers.
Oh,
fantastic.
I forgot my list. I have a list too for you guys.
Okay, so the IMDb game, this is a fun game where you look up somebody on IMDb and the other people have to guess. IMDb they list 4 films that they say that person is known for. It's
like almost like the headline.
Yeah, right at the top. It's an odd list though, because it's never just the 4 that you think they would be known for. They always change it up a little bit. So it's kind of fun to kind of see what is on there. So I figured, you know what, let's play a little bit of IMDb game and see where we land with things. So
and I've never played this before. I think you thought that maybe I think you thought we played this during the ending credits of Marvel Movie Minute. And you know what? Maybe we did. Who am I to like come out strong with an opinion about something that happened in my past? Okay, go ahead.
All right. So I figured, we just talked about Da 5 Bloods. And so I say, hey, you know what? Let's look at Spike Lee. Let's kick it off with him. So if you two had to pick the 4 films that IMDb says, and you guys can't look, don't go on your computers and go to IMDb and look.
Do we have to get them in order?
No, you don't have to get them in order. But what 4 films would you say IMDb's algorithm says these are the films that Spike Lee is known for?
Okay. When do we start?
Go ahead.
Do the Right Thing.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Do you want me to hear my 4?
Yeah, or both of you. You can throw out 4 together.
Okay. So I'd say Do the Right Thing, Mo Better Blues. Oh, wait. Tommy, are you waiting for me? I thought you were going to help me here.
Yes.
Oh, don't wait for me.
No, I think we're doing 4.
I don't want to compete.
Oh, because I want to
do your 4. Do your 4.
Only because I don't agree. I don't agree with one of your picks already.
You don't.
So we have to do our separate picks.
Okay.
Oh, I don't want to compete. I want to collude.
Okay.
I'm going to
fail.
Can
do that.
I'm going to give up
above,
at this point.
I agree with Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
I disagree with Mo Better Blues.
Okay.
I would say either 25th Hour or Inside Man or both.
Okay.
Inside Man is one of his biggest commercial hits that he's ever had. I would also maybe put Da 5 Bloods up there because I always feel like one of the 4 is recency. Yes,
sure.
Correct.
Okay.
So my votes so far for 3 of them are in no particular order: Da 5 Bloods, Do the Right Thing, Inside Man, and the 4th. I think it's a big tie between the 25th Hour, Malcolm X, and
he's got quite a few films that he's directed.
I know,
28 films.
Maybe Crooklyn. No, I'm gonna let you pick the 4th, JJ, because I muscled you out of
that
one.
Was a choice. I'd say Malcolm X.
Okay,
yeah.
So we say. Wait, what were our 4 then? Do the Right Thing, Da 5 Bloods, Inside Man, Malcolm X.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's a great lineup, and you're 50% there.
Okay.
Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X. Yes, those are the top 2. Next, She's Gotta Have It, his first film.
Really?
And then Jungle Fever. This is the IMDb algorithm playing with you guys, right?
She's got Jungle Fever.
I would have said Mo Better Blues over Jungle Fever.
I would have
That's
too.
crazy.
Well, that's
I love
what I
it.
went for it. Yeah.
I
love it.
You never know. What? Okay, so do you want to stick with going down the kind of the Spike Lee Da 5 Bloods route?
What do you mean? Stick with it.
Sure.
Well, Delroy Lindo is next on my list.
I don't know if I know enough Delroy Lindo movies.
That was my question. Yeah.
Was he in Heist? He was in Heist, right? That's what Tommy, am I right about that?
Heist.
Yes. In Heist.
Was he in Heist?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
That's the only movie that I really know him
Bob
for.
Lane.
That's the only movie that I really know him for. So that's what I would throw.
Yeah, that might be a little bit tough.
Yeah, okay.
A good 4.
All right, let's do who's somebody that you both absolutely will know. How about Kate Winslet?
Oh, that's a good one.
Sure.
All right, Kate Winslet, you guys. Oh, and just so you know, Delroy Lindo, his 4 are Get Shorty, The Core, Malcolm X, and Ransom.
Yeah, I didn't.
What's The Core doing on there?
Right?
Ransom.
I don't know.
All the other 3, I totally get. The Core?
Yeah.
Does Hilary Swank own IMDb?
Is it because of Hillary?
Yeah.
Right,
okay, Kate Winslet. That's
so
cool.
Kate Winslet. I'll say Beautiful Creatures, Titanic, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and was she in? I think.
Wait, Kate Winslet in. Wait, hold on. Do those again.
Beautiful Creatures, Titanic, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and then
Eternal Sunshine.
And then I'm thinking The Holiday. Isn't she? It's her and Cameron Diaz.
She's in
right?
The Holiday.
Yeah. So I'll say those 4.
And Cameron Diaz, right?
What was the first one you said for the 5th time?
Beautiful Creatures.
Beautiful Creatures. Oh wait, am I getting that wrong? It's not Beautiful
Heavenly
Creatures.
Creatures.
Heavenly Creatures. Heavenly Creatures. That's the one I was thinking.
Right. Okay. That's what was sticking in my craw. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Wasn't Beautiful Creatures the kind of the teen sort of thing?
Yeah. It's Tommy's showed it to me. So that's it's from the Lord of the Rings director.
No, Richard LeGravenez directed it.
What?
We're talking about, but he asked what Beautiful Creatures
I'm
was.
talking,
You're saying
Beautiful
Heavenly
Creatures is a YA
totally
like
Heavenly
witch
Creatures,
movie.
yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
Heavenly
exactly.
Creatures is the one that I was thinking.
I will switch. I'll take JJ's, but I'm going to switch out The Holiday with either The Reader or Revolutionary Road.
Oh, those are good ones. And I have a backup. I have a number 5 for mine too.
I'm going to say The Reader, and Titanic, yes. Heavenly Creatures. Heavenly Creatures, yes.
And he had Eternal Sunshine as his other one.
Real big one. Eternal Sunshine was great. Yeah, I'm going to say all of those. So if any of those movies that have been mentioned, I get credit.
And the trade out one that I would put in would be Finding Neverland. So I bet Revolutionary Road is a good one, Tommy. I'm wondering what comes up.
Well, for Kate Winslet, you guys got 3 out of 4.
Good.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is her first one, and then Titanic, which is an interesting positioning for that one. Then Revolutionary Road is on there, which is kind of a surprise for me. But last but not least, Sense and Sensibility, which I absolutely love. But it's interesting that's her 4th one. And did you know she's in Avatar 2? I did not know that.
No, that's fun.
Yes, that means she's in quarantine right now down in New Zealand, waiting with everybody else to get through that so they can start filming.
I bet she'd be fun in quarantine. She seems like a puzzle. Doesn't she seem like a puzzle person?
If she's anything like her character in Extras, absolutely.
A puzzle person.
Okay, last one. Who should we pick? Do you want to do Denzel?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Denzel Washington, you guys. 4 films that IMDb says he is most known for are
Glory, in no particular order. Glory. I'm putting that up because he won the Academy Award for it.
Okay.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
He did?
Or he was at least nominated.
He sure did.
I'm pretty sure he won. Yeah.
He won
for that.
He's won for 2 films.
I know, and I'm The other one,
American
Training
Gangster.
Day is the one that I will put up. It definitely is.
Oh, that's interesting.
I didn't remember him winning for Glory, and I love Glory, but
supporting actor and actor. So
yeah,
right,
yeah.
So
American Gangster, maybe.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's what I need to rewatch. I really
Inside Man, just because apparently I can't stop mentioning Inside Man.
Mine are Glory, Glory, Training Day,
Malcolm
X, and Flight.
Oh, there's a good.
Say those again.
Glory,
I might just join you on those.
Training Day, Malcolm X, and Flight.
Let's do it.
I will say, just in case you want to change anything,
not do it.
He has directed some movies as well, and there might be something he's directed on the list.
Fences.
Oh, Fences is his most recent, isn't it?
Yes, it is his most recent directorial effort. Then
I'm going to say he's the only list one, and it's Fences.
Okay.
Do I not understand how this game is?
That's fine. You can list it however you want. Okay, so So what's it taking place of then? What are the 4 now that you're putting Fences on?
I would say it would take the place of Flight if that was the case. But that's again,
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Well, you're not quite as far as you were. You're at 50%, but you're better than better that you added Fences.
It's a game
Good
called
job
Mastermind.
adding Fences to the list. Fences, The Book of Eli.
Oh, sure.
Training Day.
Yeah.
And the last one, his first directorial effort, Antoine Fisher.
Oh, cool.
So 2 films that he's directed are in his top.
IMDb, go for it.
Right?
But yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Huh?
He sure did.
Nice.
The Book of Eli.
Yes.
That's the IMDb game, and it's a fun one because it is always perplexing.
Yeah. Has anyone ever gotten 100% since you've been playing it?
I don't think so. I don't think so. We did it a lot on Marvel Movie Minute when we were going through Iron Man, and I don't think people, because the algorithm is like, really? That's the movie they put on?
Right.
You know, it's so strange. Like, just out of curiosity, now I want to see what they list for Robert Downey Jr., because I know we were always like, okay.
Less than zero.
No, it was Iron Man, Avengers, Sherlock Holmes, and Iron Man 3. That was the one like Iron Man 3?
But that's like a really thin part of his catalog.
You know what it is? There's like this guy named Steve. And it's whatever movie he just watched.
Right.
Because he just finally got around to 3, and he's like, wasn't as good, but better than 2. And then they have to put that up.
You know, I'm going to remember that now for IMDb. Okay, for the 4th one, what did Steve just watch?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, well, let's do trailers, guys. Let's keep moving.
All right.
Oh, and that wasn't our Steve. You know, I just picked a name. I forgot.
Steve.
Okay.
Right.
Who's different than Karen. Let's just let people know.
Let's change to Kyle.
Kyle,
yeah, we have a Kyle too.
Well, we have a Kyle. How about Irwin? Can it be Irwin?
That works. Steve Irwin.
That works for me. That's good.
All right, let's do trailers. Tommy, you are up first. You got yours in there.
I did, and it's the first time that I've ever been first in anything. No, it's called this. I like this trailer because I was like, oh no, this is going to make me cry. And then I was immediately cheesed out. It was like, look, you idiots. And then I started tearing up. It's a documentary called Dads, directed by dads for dads. It's directed actually by Bryce Dallas Howard, executive produced by a bunch of, older men, including her father, Ron, and it's talking about, to famous and non-famous, talking about the path of fatherhood and raising sons and daughters as a dad. And I wonder if maybe it's about time that men got something. That's what I'm thinking. No, but apart from that horrible joke, that is something that you don't talk about as much, is dadhood. And I kind of really loved it. And there's this one really great part of the trailer that I thought that Will Smith goes, you buy a TV and there's 100-page instructional pamphlet. And then instead they give you this little human and there's nothing. And he does a real Will Smith, nothing, which is exciting. And it just made me kind of tear up and excited. And it's because it feels like it's the story about me and Foster, my dog Foster, finally brought to life. Because I know exactly what it's like to raise a child.
You do.
Just like you too.
You're just with Foster.
Yeah.
It reminded me.
What'd you guys think?
It reminded me of the Have a Good Trip psychedelics documentary that's on Netflix right now. Really, just because it's talking about people's direct experience and really made to be lighthearted and fun. And that's something that's interesting. Like, you don't see that all the time, and that's why I think this is really kind of a cool thing to have out before Father's Day.
But with also grown men breaking into tears talking about their children, which apparently is a trigger for me.
It works.
Yeah. Trigger for me too, man. I was like, man, rarely does a trailer do that to me. But geez, you watch these dads like breaking up, trying to talk about their kids and the joys and struggles of raising them and stuff. I'm like, oh, me too.
Yeah. Some of it's good. I did have a little bit of problem with a lot of the sort of superlative language that they used in it, where people were talking about how and now you're the center of their world. And I'm like, there is another parent in some cases that gets some attention. But anyway.
Yeah.
Just the two.
That's Will Smith.
We can make it if we try.
Very nice.
Yeah. No, I think it looks really interesting. It should be an interesting documentary. It's nice to see, and I think this isn't the first time Bryce Dallas Howard has directed, right? She did a thing of
is that true?
She directed.
No, it's not. She did something of
episodes of
the Mandalorian, right?
Yep. Yeah.
She did the one my least favorite episode.
Oh, you didn't like that episode? I loved that episode. I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah, no, it was a little tougher for me. Okay. Well, honestly, there were a few episodes where it's just like I felt like the story had moved from the story, and we were just having like adventure episodes.
Yep.
And hers was one of those.
You felt the episodes were a little episodic.
They hit that point. Yes, they did. But you know what? I'm thrilled that she has shifted into doing some directing, and I hope she does more because I love female voices out there. I love the idea of this documentary, and I'm excited to see what she brings to it. So,
yep, I like it too.
Cool.
When's it opening, Tommy? Or when does it come out? Because it's not opening anywhere. It's an Apple TV thing, right?
Yes.
It's on Apple TV, so we'll never know. Is that not the right way to say that? At some point, it will come out on your TV in the end.
I assume it's set up for Father's Day, right? For this Sunday?
That sounds good. Yep. I did my research, so I can definitely say yes.
Yeah, I would have bet it is probably Father's Day. June 19th. There you go. So actually, that's
there
tomorrow.
It is.
It opens tomorrow.
It's June 19th, and I said that
yesterday.
And I knew that it was yesterday.
Based on when this episode comes out.
And as all listeners will agree, I was the one that knew the date, and I said it. And that was my
right.
fact. And I did the research, and that was me. Great.
That was you. You do a great job of imitating my voice, Tommy.
Very
It's amazing. It's uncanny. Well, interestingly, I'm up next. My trailer is for a film that also opened yesterday, just like yours, online. It's called Looks That Kill. It is a dark rom-com. And it is about a kid who is born with this strange, I don't know if you'd call it a superpower or what it is, but apparently his face is so lethal that from the moment he's born, anyone who looks at his face, except perhaps his parents, will die. They just
But it seems to be lethally beautiful, right? It's not that he's ugly. He's so gorgeous. That's why this one is also my life story. Just like that.
I think that it did kind of an interesting shakeup with the whole world of rom-coms and doing something that's really interesting where his face is so lethally attractive that he just makes people drop dead from the simple gaze of it. And here's this kid, he's a 16-year-old when we have the story, and he's walking around with his face like half mummified, wrapped up and always wearing sunglasses. And he falls for this girl, and now he's trying to figure out, well, what do you do? I can't show you my face. And at the very end, we get a tease. She's taking off the sunglasses while he's sleeping. Is she going to die? It really kind of piqued my curiosity. I'm like, okay, this is shaking it up the genre in a way that I think I might really enjoy. So what'd you guys think?
Well, it's really shaking up young adult also.
Yeah,
that it's
right.
The fact that he's so handsome that he can't show his face really flies in the face of most. I am the only one that understands me, and I'm an alien, and I'm alone, and I'm the grossest person in the world until I find that one person that can love me for me.
Now,
this is sort of
now I'm an alien, but I'm such a good-looking alien that no one can understand me unless they die.
I mean, it nails the alienation, but does turn it in a way that I'd be interested to see if the movie has something to say about that.
Yeah.
Instead of just, hopefully it's not just, oh, what a interesting conceit, because there might be some interesting turns to take about that.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and it's weird. It reminded me, well, at first I liked it too. I actually thought about doing it for my trailer as well. It reminded me of the point of something like 6 Feet Apart, where these two kids fall in love, but they can't interact, or they could potentially kill each other. So, and I actually really liked that movie. I saw it in the theater. And it's
Romeo and Juliet over and over and over again.
It is.
It's star-crossed lovers.
Very nice.
Well, we just can't. It's two young people that are not allowed to be together for whatever reason.
Yes. Yeah. Love it.
It also reminded me, I don't know if you guys remember from, there was this back in the early 80s, there was a cartoon, like Saturday morning cartoons, it was a big thing in our childhoods. There was a thing called the Plastic Man Comedy Adventure Show. And there was a show on it called Mighty Man and Yuck. And it was about this millionaire superhero. Of course, they're always super millionaires who he had super strength in flight, but he also had a partner who was a dog named Yuck, who was the world's ugliest dog, who walked around wearing a doghouse, a small doghouse on his head. And sometimes in order to defeat bad guys, he would take his doghouse off of his head and show his face to the bad guy. And they would like freak out. They would like look petrified, and they would fall over. I'm assuming unconscious, because this was a Saturday morning show. And I was like, I thought it's a weird cartoon. And so it's something that burned into my brain, but that's something else that stuck in my head when I was watching this. It's like,
wow,
it's like
what's it called again?
Mighty Man and Yuck, Y-U-K-K.
Wow.
Yeah. So what a strange little flashback this movie brought me. But there you go. Well, like I said, this opened yesterday, June 19th. It's streaming, so you can find it out there online and check it out. So, all right, Perfect. JJ.
So my trailer is called Volition. And Volition, I just found this today. I didn't know anything about it until I saw it. And they say it's coming July 10th. but also that it was a 2019 movie. So I think that's all kind of strange.
It might have played at a festival or something.
Right. Yeah. So, and it's weird. It's a thriller. It's about a man. The trailer goes pretty far along the line to tell you what's happening, but doesn't help tell you why or how it's going to reason out. And that's that this guy has some sort of clairvoyance and he's being used for criminal enterprises. And at some point he gets to the thing where they talk about like solving the mystery of why he's clairvoyant and how they're using him and what he can be used for and stuff. And I think what jumped at me about it is that it's being set to be released on July 10th. Right now, there hasn't been a lot explained about the Christopher Nolan movie Tenet, but it has something to do with some otherworldly brain power. And the last that I heard about that, you know, its original release date was July 17th. It was being moved back to July 31st. And, you know, they're definitely waiting for a theatrical release for that. So it's really interesting that this is sci-fi thriller, all with the same sort of trust someone, trust no one kind of thing. The trailer itself reminded me a little bit of Memento. It felt like they were kind of pushing towards the whole Memento thing where they were using someone's affliction to benefit themselves in a criminal way. I'd be interested in seeing it. I don't know that it's going to be great, but the trailer was enough to get me interested about it. And I am like salivating for Tenet right now. So I'm totally on board for when something like this comes out.
Well, it's a 6.9 right now on IMDb, which is, you know, pretty decent score. So it could be a fun one to check out. I mean, it's not a ton of people who have voted on that to see it, but you know, I don't know. It looks totally up my alley. It's the sort of thing that honestly, I should have seen it last year at the Phoenix Film Festival because apparently it played there.
Oh, it was there. Cool.
In its festival run. I didn't know that I didn't see it, but the trailer just had all kind of the vibes of the sort of sci-fi thriller that I love.
Sure.
And I think in one of the quotes that it had in the trailer, it's like a time bending thriller, you know, sort of thing. And, you know, Time Crimes was a film that Pete and I talked about on the show and we absolutely love. And this, it doesn't look like the total time travel sort of thing, but it has that vibe. So I definitely want to check this one out.
Nice.
No, it is one of those. I mean,
Did you know about it before, Tom?
Never, not at all. Yeah. And I still feel like I don't know about it. It is interesting to what you said of like, I can't tell if it's going to be good, but I'm really interested in it because it also could be called Vague,
right? The movie.
Exactly. They're just like, what do you mean? How come? You were going to find out later. Maybe. What? Put that down. And it's like, okay, I get it. I mean, I can't tell if it costs $1 million or $35.
Yes.
Like there's one helicopter shot, but no, I mean, I like the idea of, and what really got me into it was also some of the blurbs bringing up sci-fi, that they bring up. What hooked me was what you already brought up, JJ, is we're going to figure out where this came from.
Yeah.
He didn't just wake up with this. There's a bunch of pictures of like, it seems like maybe science experiments, maybe something went wrong. I would like to find out that mystery, because I don't understand what he's supposed to be. He knew about the drop beforehand, but how did you know it was supposed to go good? It reminds me of like when we used to make fun of trailers before, but no, I'm in.
Love it.
I think it's time for our list, guys.
Okay.
So,
I gotta go grab list. I have mine. I have to get them. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go get it. So we are this week on the show, we released our episode on Hitchcock's North by Northwest, which stars Cary Grant. It is part of our Cary Grant series. And so part of that is people get to vote on what list we're going to talk about as we put together lists of movies. And in this particular case, they voted on us talking about movies with the everyman who is mistaken for a spy.
And where does it come from? This is in relation to which movie from the main show?
North by Northwest.
Okay.
North by Northwest. Alfred Hitchcock.
Very cool.
Of course, in that one, Roger Thornhill is mistaken for a spy. And what's great about that movie is the good guys are like, that's great. Let's leave him there. Let's let him think he's this guy. And we'll just keep doing our stuff.
Love it.
It's very funny. So, but yeah, every man mistaken for a spy. That is what we're talking about. So, Tommy, you got your trailer up first. That means you get to go first. So let us know, what is the first movie on your list?
This was hard for me because I could think of not a ton of everyman mistaken as a spy. I was like, North by Northwest. Oh, wait. Right. That's where this came from. Right. And the wrong man. Like I just came to the ones. So instead, if it's okay, I kind of pushed it a little bit more to mistaken identity.
That's
you
fair.
know what? Steve cheats every week, so
oh, good. So I'm the Steve this week, just in that, and it's not just mistaken identity. You're Jake. No, you're Kyle. You're being mistaken for being in a higher agency, than you are.
Okay,
that's how I'm making it okay. Is like people wrongly think you're so much more important and therefore usually dangerous. So we have to go after you.
Right.
And so my first one is
drum roll.
Okay, here we go. Here's one. I'm going to only potentially steal it from under Andy because I know that it's also one of his favorite movies ever, but is the movie Brazil.
Oh, ooh.
By Terry Gilliam, because in Brazil, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, I actually just rewatched it. I had forgotten why he is sort of kidnapped by the government at the end. It's because he's arrested for treason after joining information retrieval. And they think that he is maybe an anti-government sentimentalist, whatever that word is. And so he, who is just the most everyman pencil pusher in the world, who just made the wrong mistake of falling in love with the wrong girl, is instead held up for high treason and is sentenced to torture and potentially death. No spoilers.
I think
so
that's
that is mine.
Perfect. I don't think that's stretching at all. What do you think, Andy?
I think it's fine, especially because he's hanging out with a quote terrorist, somebody who's running around fixing all the problems that the government has created.
Oh, the renegade air conditioner repairman.
Right, exactly.
Robert De Niro.
Right, Tuttle. Right. I think that works great. So,
okay,
good
Andy,
pick.
you're next.
All right, for my first pick, I am going to a film that, I would never would have thought of to put on this list, but then I'm like, you know what? Weirdly, it fits. It is a Disney film. It's animated, and it's like the last movie that Disney should have had any right in doing an animated version of, because it's like, really? That's a pretty dark book. But here they are doing an animated version of The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh.
There is a point in that film where Quasimodo and Phoebus, the guard who ends up working with Phoebus, they are trying to figure out how to get in touch with kind of like the secret gypsy group. And they go in through the secret tunnels and all this stuff. And you get this fantastic musical number when they get caught by kind of all the gypsies, where they sing this great song and put them on trial because they think these two are spies for Judge Frollo, and they are they are going to go report to him where they are, and so they do this whole trial with them and everything before Esmeralda stops them and everything. But
I love it.
That's
smart.
I love that film. There are some issues with the gargoyles and stuff, but I'm like, there are some seriously dark moments in a Disney film when you have Judge Claude Frollo like fantasizing about this phantom gypsy woman in his fireplace. It's like, wow, this is a Disney movie for kids.
People forget about it all the time because it's super problematic and super weird, but the musical numbers are great and the animation is really solid too. So I mean, that's one of those ones that people forget to bring up all the time.
Yeah. And there you go. Everyman, two of them suspected for being spies.
I am sure that you stole that from no one. So I think that's good.
All right, JD, what's up for you?
My first one is the original, the first International Man of Mystery, Austin Powers, has a running gag throughout the movie. The she's a man thing in it, where like he gets delivered a drink in the bar when he's talking with Elizabeth Hurley by a woman. And then he turns around and punches the woman in the face, and she's a man, and then of course it's a man who he knocked out. Well, at one point, his superior officer or his Q introduces him to his mother, and Austin punches his mother out and knocks her down. And it's like, she's a man, but it's not. It was really just Basil's mother. So, he's constantly thinks he has an idea of who are men and who are women and who are spies. Not that one. And Tommy, I had to cheat too. I actually had to look up the definition of spy to see how far I could stretch being mistaken as spy.
I'm still worried. So, I'm not sure how I'm going to do.
Okay, that's my first one.
But that's great.
Totally okay. I think that's a great one to get on the list. Great. So Tommy, next pick, number 2. What
Back
is it?
to me. The Three Amigos.
Oh,
that this is the story of these three guys who are just they think that they're they're old timey movie actors, and they think that they're being put in this new situation, and instead they accidentally invade El Guapo and his gang of bandits and have to save a town. El Guapo and his gang take them on their as the enemy combatants that they are, and that's spy-ish.
Sure.
Three amigos.
I'll take it.
Totally works. Totally works.
Good. Love
it. Sure. Sounds great. All right. For my second pick, I am going with a movie that I really, really enjoyed when it came out. I want to see it again to see if it holds up. But it is a film that I think it had a lot of fun kind of playing with everything that Hitchcock was doing. And just everything with the whole trope of an everyman who is mistaken for a spy. It is, of course, the Bill Murray comedy, The Man Who Knew Too Little.
Right.
Oh.
And what a fun film that was, because he went into this whole thing thinking that it was a birthday present from his, I can't remember, a brother, I think, who gave him this experiential, the game type of birthday present where he's now in this spy game. And so he's running around pretending he's a spy because he thinks everybody's in this game thinking that he's just acting like he's a spy. But in fact, everybody's actually trying to kill him. Bill Murray at his finest. It was a really fun movie, The Man Who Knew Too Little.
I should watch that. Groundhog Day was one of my Gap movies that I had to go and watch during quarantine. That's one of the things I've been trying to do during quarantine is watch my Gap movies. Oh,
you're doing that?
I saw Groundhog Day. I haven't seen The Man Who Knew Too Little either. I should see that as well.
Check it out. Check it out. It's I'd be curious to know if it holds up.
Yeah. Well, I didn't love Groundhog Day, but I understand why it is such an important movie for so many people of its time, for sure.
Sure.
My number 2 movie is one that I thought I would need to steal, but it's kind of weird and you kind of have to work your way into it, so maybe that's why. But it's True Lies. And True Lies, of course, you have the weird thing of course, the everyman who is a spy. But then once you get into it, you get Jamie Lee Curtis, who is the wife of the everyman who is a spy, who then gets put into service and gets mistaken for a spy in doing the things that she's doing. So I used Jamie Lee Curtis in this instance, especially the scene where she's sent in to take care of the guy and doing the dancing and it's actually Arnold Schwarzenegger doing it. Yeah. So I don't know if it qualifies, but I think there's enough, for me, there's enough gray area of every people masquerading and being mistaken as spies that it worked for me.
I love that. I really want to see that one again.
Yeah, it's great.
Waiting for James Cameron to get off his Avatar butt and start releasing some of his older movies.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I just said I liked a James Cameron movie. Write it down somewhere.
Right there. It's recorded. We've got it.
Golden.
Okay, Tommy, last pick. What's your number 1?
Last pick. This goes against something that I sort of just talked about recently in another podcast. But if you take it without the Blue Skies on Mars, I would say the 1990 film Total Recall.
Beauty.
Because he is an everyman. The aforementioned Arnold Schwarzenegger plays Douglas Quaid, who thinks he's just a construction worker, and then instead potentially is unlocked as being a part or a spy of a huge resistance that jerks don't like. And then a bunch of things happen, and get ready for a surprise. Okay, I don't want to go through the whole film, but that would be someone. I like the idea of a spy who might actually be a spy and doesn't even know that he's a spy.
I love that. Yeah. And I think as you're mentioning this, and of course, because we have these 2 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies back to back, maybe the greatest conceit or the greatest achievement of Arnold Schwarzenegger's career is Mr. Universe convincing the world in repeated movies like that and Kindergarten Cop and all these things that he's an everyman.
That he's an everyman. Oh, there goes Bruce.
So true.
Just sort of this guy.
Yeah. So true.
With the Austrian accent. It's not a Duma.
It's not a Duma. Well, for my final pick, as much as I love Tom Hanks in The Man with One Red Shoe, which is one of my all-time favorite guilty pleasures.
Yep.
I I decided, you know what? I feel like I've used it a lot on this list. And since we just did our Francis Weber series a few series ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put the tall blonde man with one black shoe on my list, which was the French Francis Weber film that was remade as The Man with One Red Shoe. I watched it for the first time fairly recently, and I'm like, you know what? This is a fantastic film. It is so much fun. Weber knew how to put a story like this together. It's just laughs from beginning to end. It totally worked. So that's my final pick: the tall blonde man with one black shoe.
Interesting. That's what it's called in the French version? Is called that? Wow. I did not know this.
Yeah, the whole conceit, if you haven't seen The Man with One Red Shoe, is these, I mean, it's kind of North by Northwest-ish, where you have the good spies and the bad guys, who the good guys they have to pick a person to be kind of like the fake spy that they're going to make the bad guys think is the real spy, so the good guys can get other stuff done. And so they're at the airport and they say, they're just like, just pick someone. And so they pick, it's him. It's the tall blonde man with one black shoe. And he just happens to be wearing one black shoe. And that's the thing that draws them in. And same thing with the man with the red shoe. It's like, why is he wearing one red shoe? Who knows? But that makes for an interesting person. We're going to pick him. And now the bad guys are trying to get him. It's a fantastic conceit for a spy comedy. So it works well in both cases. And I think everyone should check it out. I think I saw it on Canopy recently, so it's easy to watch.
Well, we don't have any crossover then. Nobody had any stealing, because my last movie is a spy comedy as well that I don't think a lot of the folks on this podcast will have seen, but I sought it out because I'll reveal the reasons in a second. But it is The Spy Who Dumped Me, featuring Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon. And so the reason they're mistaken, Mila Kunis is dating a spy and she doesn't know it, and he gets
Justin Theroux,
I think so, but he's taken out. Well, he comes back. Yeah. Anyway, yes, that's the guy. So
that's the guy.
But the point
you
is,
can just say yes. That's the
sounds like a spy movie.
Yeah. So, but because they think that he is killed, and because of it, they have something of his, or that the bad guys think that both Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon are carrying it, and they desperately want to find out what's going on with him. So their lives are threatened, and along the way, people think, wow, they're really amazing. They're escaping this. They're being spies themselves. So they get mistaken through spies throughout. Yeah. I actually really liked it. I think independently, Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon are both women who could do no wrong in my eyes anyway. I'll just say that up front. Together, I would probably give my life to serve them and do whatever they wished forever.
Oh, wow.
Because I like them so much. So, I think it was a great movie. And if you it's just a funny, silly comedy, but I really love both of them a whole heck of a lot. So
great choices. Good work, everybody.
Lots of good movies. Well, so next week we are talking about Charade, the last one in our Cary Grant series. And so what things can we put forth for whoever it is who's on the show next week to pull from for their lists? What do you guys think? Have you guys both seen Charade?
Absolutely not.
No.
Oh, it's a great one. It's my favorite Cary Grant film.
1963, right? Yeah.
Yep, 1963, okay. And with Audrey Hepburn. And they are basically, I mean, have either of you seen, Jonathan Demme remade it as The Truth About Charlie? Did either of you see that film in the 2000s? I think 2002.
Nope.
I loved it.
Did you?
That's a no.
Okay.
I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's an interesting film about a woman whose husband is killed, and then she learns, wow, there's a lot about my husband I didn't know. He had stolen a bunch of gold with some army buddies, and this is why I think Pete brought it up when you guys were talking about Defy Bloods, because he stole a bunch of gold with some army buddies, and then they killed him because he took the gold and did something with it, and now they're all trying to get the money that he basically converted it, and they're all trying to get it, and they think she has it. And so she ends up working with this guy, Cary Grant, who kind of happens upon the situation to figure out, where is the money and how to get away from these people that are trying to get it.
I've got one.
Before you go, I want to say it sounds a lot like the 2018 movie, The Spy Who Dumped Me. No, anyway, keep going.
All roads lead to the spy who dumped me. You're right.
Okay, go ahead.
Well,
Tom.
I will say, not to. I hate giving it away, but the money is hidden in some stamps.
Weird.
Yeah, he bought some very rare stamps as a way to hide the money.
All right.
I don't know if that's something we can use for the list. That seems very obscure, but still.
One thing we could say kind of along the everyman is a spy is your spouse has a hidden past.
Oh, I like that.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes,
yeah,
that's a great
spouse
one.
with a hidden past.
Yes, that's a first one. Well, you
Also,
could say something about the stamps being the MacGuffin, because I'm thinking of things. So something where, but it doesn't have to be stamps. It has to be something more general.
Like weird treasure, like the idea of the
obscure.
Ooh, I like that. Weird treasure.
The treasure or the goal is something that isn't just gold or a bunch of cash.
Right. Yeah,
it's
right.
something
so,
like
would unexpected treasure, would that make that? Would that cover it?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
unexpected or unique.
Yeah,
unexpected/unique abnormal treasure.
And then what else?
I'll give it all three. Abnormal treasure.
Charade. Oh, what about party games?
There's definitely an odd little party game. Are you referring to the orange scene?
No, he's talking about charades. Being
I'm just
a party
talking about
game.
the word charades.
Well, there is a moment in that movie where they go to a bar and they end up playing this really strange party game where people pass an orange for. It's a contest between two teams who have to pass an orange from the first person to the last person without using their hands, and it's under their neck, right?
Yeah.
And so
it
spends a very long time watching Cary Grant try to get this orange from this strange woman.
All right,
it's very funny. So party games, I love that for the third option. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
One other
well, it makes sense.
One other option,
and the show, and it's called Charade. So that's actually it's
right.
Well, you know what it does. The climax is in a theater. That's a big thing where you've got kind of an empty theater, empty dark theater as kind of the final stage for the final battle with the villain, which is really kind of thrilling the way it plays out. You have let's see.
One other option is it's a word that you can pronounce very pretentiously. Charade.
Very true. There's also they bring it up quite a bit because Cary Grant was actually uncomfortable being another romantic lead. He'd already stopped being romantic leads because he felt he was too old to do it. And so they actually wrote in the script quite a lot of dialogue about their age difference between him and Audrey Hepburn. Because he was uncomfortable with it. And so you could definitely do like a kind of a
age differences?
May-December sort of relationships in films, which would be an interesting one.
Put it in there.
I love that.
I love that one.
Do you want to do that instead of party games?
Yes, do that one instead. Yes.
May-December relationships.
Yes, love it.
All right, so we've got spouses with a hidden past, or spouse with a hidden past, unexpected/unique/abnormal treasure, and May-December relationships.
Love it.
That is a solid list. That is solid. I love it. All right. Well, we'll get that up on the Show Talk channel. And for those of you who are tuning in but haven't checked it out, go to Discord. You can download Discord from the interwebs, and you can join our Discord group where you can start having conversations with all of us, all of our community. And you can just kind of chat with all of us about movies and TV, everything else that's going on entertainment-wise. And you can jump into the Show Talk channel and actually cast your vote as to which one of these you think that you would like us to talk about on next week's show. The Show Talk channel you can access if you're a Patreon member. And of course, you can jump into patreon.com/thenextreel or thenextreel.com/Patreon. And you can find us there and you can support us. And, you know, it's just a great way to help the show, show us that you're a big supporter. We really appreciate it. So.
We did it!
Yay.
We did it. Yes, indeed.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you, Andy.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a thrill chatting with you too. And I look forward to chatting in the future. And until then, everybody, thank you so much. Have a good one.
You've been sack-matted.